Hello and welcome back to day 33 of How to Fix the World in 80 Days. And today's subject is something that you wouldn't think we'd have to argue about. It should be so obvious, but that subject is protecting the environment. Now, again, you would think this is some kind of indisputable truth, but some people don't seem to think that it's a very important thing to do. And part of living in a good society is you get to argue over whatever you want. And I guess this is what we chose to do. So here we go. So usually if you do get into an argument with someone over the value of protecting the environment, the first question they're going to ask you is, well, what about the economy? And that's a very valid question. I mean, I like the economy. I like to make money. I'm certainly not opposed to that. But the question I ask them right back is, well, what's the point of having a good economy if the environment sucks? I mean, they kind of go hand in hand, and they usually don't have a good answer for that. The second point these anti-environment people tend to make is that the world changes with or without human activity. Like there was ice ages long before humans came around, or that eventually the sun will blow up irregardless of whether humans have any impact on that at all. To which I say, yes, you're absolutely right. But none of that means that the impact that humans have on the environment is any less real. So to prove my point, I've taken 3 specific examples of human activity that have a very negative impact on the environment. The 3 arguments that I chose are deforestation, garbage, and urban sprawl. So without further ado, here we go. So obviously it's impossible to get a 100% accurate statistic on how many trees we cut down every year, but some studies say we cut down about 15 billion trees a year, which is roughly the surface area of Ireland. Now, that would all be fine if we replanted trees at the same number, but the same studies estimate that we only plant about 5 billion. So if you're not very good at math, that's about a net loss of 10 billion trees a year. Now, you might not like trees as much as other people, but you can't deny that trees help us with oxygen, they take up CO2, they help biodiversity, meaning forests and other ecosystems can spread. So the idea of getting rid of that many trees at such a rapid rate doesn't seem to lend itself well to making the world a better place. So the second example I used was garbage, which obviously is 100% dependent on human activity. Again, impossible to get a 100% accurate statistic, but some studies estimate that we produce about 2.6 trillion pounds of garbage every year, 59% of which ends up in landfills, meaning that it's not recycled or reused. Now, the stuff that we put back in landfills ends up in the ground, which means that it goes in the plants that we eat, animals will eat it. So basically we are re-ingesting the garbage that we were trying to get rid of in the first place, which again, doesn't seem to lend itself well to making the world a better place. Now, the third example I used is urban sprawl, which again, 100% attributable to human activity. If you look at 1950, the human population was 2.5 billion. Now, if you look at basic demographics, you'll know that we've augmented that to about 7.5 billion, which means that we've tripled our population in 75 years. Is this good for the world? Nobody really knows. We can't look into the future. But there's no doubt that we are having a very direct impact on the environment. So when you hear statistics like that, you can accept them, you can dismiss them, you can care, you can not care. It doesn't really matter. Let me ask you an even more basic question. Take a look at that picture. When you see something like that, does that really tell you that we live in a society that really cares about the people who live on this planet? Because if you really do genuinely believe that, then here's what I have to say about you. You don't give a shit about our kids. You don't give a shit about your kids. You don't give a shit about their kids after them, because you must not care about this planet. Now, when I say that, I don't mean it so much as a personal attack, but more as a philosophical argument, which is to say that if we do not change the way that we behave, if we do not change the way that we consume, it's just a mathematical, statistical inevitability that we are going to run this planet into the ground and we're going to run out of resources. Now, ironically, this is probably not going to happen in my lifetime. Some people think the Armageddon is going to happen in 100 years. Some people think it's going to happen in 500 million. In the end, it doesn't really matter. The way I see it, we have a personal responsibility to prepare future generations for a planet that they can actually live in. I also see that we have a personal responsibility to past generations to take the baton that they left us, which is this beautiful world that we get to live in, this luxurious world that we get to live in, and keep that going. So when I talk about protecting the environment, am I saying that we all need to be left-leaning, tree-hugging pussies who live in mud huts, eat grass, and pray to the sun god every morning? No, I like to consume. I like to do things that I enjoy, and to do that, there will be negative consequences on the environment. I can live with that. What I am saying is some of us need to take our give a shit meter and turn it up just a little bit. some of us need to turn our give a shit meters on, because if you look at the way people behave, it's quite obvious that we don't give a shit about what we do to the environment. I mean, you can go to the most remote forest in the middle of nowhere. Garbage. You can go to the middle of the ocean. You can go to the top of Mount Everest. Garbage. Garbage, garbage, garbage everywhere. Walk down the street. Garbage. People are not even willing to walk 15 feet to the nearest garbage because we just don't give a shit. And I don't know what else to do. I can show you a pretty picture of pollution, but if it doesn't change the way you behave, it doesn't matter. And it just blows my mind. I mean, we tend to make this like this left and right issue, or this environment versus economy, or this kind of wedge issue. It's not. We all need to share this planet. We all care about our families. We all care about our neighbors. We all care about future generations, and we only have one planet. And if you really don't care, if you really don't give a shit about any of that, then I guess you won't have to wait long before it just doesn't matter anymore. And that's a scary thought. Really scary thought.